Remember our levels of psychological functioning that we discussed earlier in Module 1. Now, in Module 3, we'll be focusing on that first biological level. That is, we'll be talking all about your brain and nervous system. It might be the understatement of the year to say that your brain is pretty complex. As scientists, we're still learning to understand it. However, throughout several decades of research, we have learned quite a bit about how the brain works. In this video, I'll begin by discussing some of the brain's basic organizational structure. A word of caution before we get started. We're going to be covering a lot of technical terms in this video, some of which may be new to you. Feel free to pause this video at any point if you need to slow down as we cover these terms. You'll need to know the functions of different brain structures for the upcoming exam. Let's begin by looking at the brainstem, located at the top of the spine and the bottom of the brain. The different structures in the brainstem are in charge of a wide range of basic life support functions. Specifically, the medulla is very important as it helps to control your breathing and your heart rate. Above the medulla, the pons controls sleeping and dreaming as well as balance. Inside the brain is a collection of neurons known as the reticular formation, or sometimes more broadly referred to as the reticular activating system. Together with the thalamus, the reticular formation is involved in controlling wakefulness, alertness, and attention. At the very back of the brain is the cerebellum, which is Latin for little brain because, well, that's kind of what it looks like. Like the pons, the cerebellum is also involved in balance and coordinating muscle movements. There's also some evidence that damage to your cerebellum can interfere with judging the size of or distance from objects and with your sense of timing. Inside your brain, beneath your cerebral cortex, you also have several specialized structures. These structures are collectively sometimes referred to as the limbic system. First, your thalamus is your brain's primary relay station for incoming sensory information. Incoming information from all of your senses except for smell stops first at your thalamus before being relayed to other regions of the brain for further processing. The hypothalamus, so named because it sits below the thalamus, hypo is an ancient Greek root that means under or below, is involved in reward processing. The hippocampus helps convert information from short-term memory processing into long-term memory storage. People with damage to their hippocampus are no longer able to form new, conscious, long-term memories. We already learned about one such individual earlier in the course. Do you remember Henry Molaison from Module 2.3? Finally, the amygdala, traditionally thought of as the brain's fear center, is now recognized to be involved in processing emotions much more generally, not just fear. The cerebrum, also called the cerebral cortex, is the outer surface of the brain and is associated with some of our higher level processes such as consciousness, thought, emotion, reasoning, language, and memory. The cerebral cortex is very uneven, characterized by a distinctive pattern of bumps and grooves. These bumps we call gyri, and the grooves we call sulci. These gyri and sulci form important landmarks that allow us to easily identify different regions of the brain. The most prominent sulcus, known as the longitudinal fissure, is the deep groove that separates the brain into two halves or hemispheres, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. The left and right hemispheres of the brain have somewhat specialized functions. For example, the left hemisphere is heavily involved in language processing and has also been shown to be superior for forming associations in memory, selective attention, and positive emotions. The right hemisphere, on the other hand, has been shown to be superior in pitch perception, arousal, and negative emotions. However, the idea of left-brained and right-brained people is a pretty huge oversimplification of this idea. People don't only use one, or even just primarily use one hemisphere of the brain. Rather, it's important to think about how both hemispheres are working together to produce a given behavior. Each hemisphere is also responsible for controlling the sensory input and motor output of one half of your body. Interestingly, each hemisphere controls the opposite side. That is, your right hemisphere controls the left side of your body, and vice versa. This is a principle known as contralateralization. An example of this can sometimes be found in individuals who have had a stroke. The person may continue to have trouble with muscle control on one side of their body. For example, perhaps they have difficulty controlling their right arm or the right side of their mouth. In this case, when they continue to have difficulty with muscle control on the right side, it means that the damage during their stroke primarily occurred on the left side of their brain. The two hemispheres are not completely separated, but are connected by a bundle of nerves called the corpus callosum, which you can see here highlighted in blue from both the dorsal or top and sagittal or side perspectives. Normally, the two hemispheres communicate freely and seamlessly via the corpus callosum. However, some individuals have undergone a procedure to sever the corpus callosum. This is usually done in an attempt to control severe seizures that have not been responsive to other treatments. The result is sometimes called split brain. Essentially, these individuals have two brains, the left and right hemispheres, that are acting semi-independently from each other. There's been some fascinating research on split brain individuals, and you can check out some of this research in the supplemental video on Canvas. We can also examine the brain by looking at the 4 lobes of the cerebral cortex. Each lobe is associated with different functions. The occipital lobe, toward the back of the brain, is your brain's visual processing center. The temporal lobe is involved in memory, auditory processing. A specific area of the temporal lobe, Wernicke's area, is responsible for language comprehension. The parietal lobe houses the somatosensory cortex, which is responsible for processing sensory input from the rest of the body. The aptly named frontal lobe, which sits at the front of your brain, houses the motor cortex, which is responsible for sending messages to our motor muscles to produce body movement. We'll talk a little bit more about how all this works too in the upcoming videos. The frontal lobe is also involved in some of our higher level cognitive processes such as language, judgment, and decision making. Even though different regions of the brain are specialized for different functions, your brain can also change and adapt in some remarkable ways. We call the brain's capacity for change neuroplasticity. For example, you might wonder what happens in the occipital lobe of an individual who has been blind from birth. With no visual input to process, does the occipital lobe simply stop working? Not at all. Rather, the neural connections in the occipital lobe simply become rewired and adapt to take on other functions. Your brain can also adapt to changes in your environment after birth. In fact, every time you learn something new, including perhaps, hopefully, something from this video, the neural structure of your brain has changed somewhat. For example, people's brains change in many ways after learning a new skill, such as maybe learning a new language. And this process of learning is highly beneficial and has many protective benefits for our brain. One study even found that people who are bilingual, or who speak 2 languages fluently, develop dementia on average 4 years later than individuals who are monolingual. This is all encouraging news because it means that you can actually change and rewire your brain based on the behaviors you engage in every day. For more information on brain plasticity, you can check out the supplemental videos on Canvas. In this video, we covered quite a few new terms. For the exam, make sure to familiarize yourself with the different brain structures we talked about and their corresponding functions.